Yeah, I'm Antonio Ciano from UrbanCity and MrMagicWhipz, and this is the 1995 Nissan Skyline R33 GTST. GTST. When I first bought it, it had the GTR badge on it, but we took that off because we were sort of getting a lot of what would you call it? A lot of questions, you know. Is this a real GTR? Is this the RB26? It's the RB25 rear-wheel drive, and it's sitting at about 550 horsepower crank. What made the idea? Honestly, I was in the market for a Supra or an RX-7, and I've been a huge fan. Well, my wife and I have been a huge fan of the Fast and the Furious franchise, and we've loved JDM forever. And like I said, we were in the market for an RX-7 or a Supra. Never in a million years did I think I would come across something like this, especially around here. And all my buddies knew that I'm into JDM, and a buddy of mine reached out to me and said, hey, did you see the listing for this blue R33 that's at a dealership, right down the street from my house, right-hand drive? And I sort of went that day to take a look at it, and I drove off the lot with it that day. I just couldn't leave it behind. And my wife was actually wanting the R35, and I had to talk her into, no, we came here for the R33. We didn't come here for the R35. So, really good decision so far. At least I hope so. First bought the car, the first thing I had to do was get the stance coilover suspension because I was getting some mad rubbing in the front fenders. The only way to fix that was to either go with bags or the stance coilover suspension. So we actually went over to Tollgate Factory, TF Works, and they did the coilovers, and that sort of eliminated that rubbing problem. Trying to think here, what else did we do to it? And obviously we had to get it tuned because it was tuned to, how would you say it? To backfire, for the rev limiter, to shoot flames, and it wasn't really tuned for performance. So I brought it over to Sound Performance, and they ended up tuning it. And when I bought the car, it was actually only at, I think, 300 to 350 horsepower. And after they tuned it, they were able to, crank it all the way up to about 550. It doesn't shoot flames anymore, but at least performance-wise, it's definitely up to par. Yeah, so Sound Performance did the dyno and the tune. And we went ahead and put the 1000cc fuel injectors. It's got all bolt-ons pretty much done. It's got a AEM standalone, 400 IPH Walbro fuel system, and we have a NOS bottle hooked up, but it's not in use right now. It's just for show, for car shows. We did upgrade the Bride seats because it had replica Bride seats in there, and we were getting called out on that all the time. And I purchased the car with most of this done to it, so I'm sort of going back in there and doing it the right way, taking out putting in the real stuff. To an extent, like we're still waiting to put on the TE37s because these are also replica rims, so we're going to be putting on the TE37s. We're debating on bronze or aluminum finish. But the biggest thing was the Bride seats, getting those in there, putting the authentic ones in there. Of course, it's got the the strut bar in there, the Ultra Racing strut bar, HID conversion kit. It's got a Kakimoto exhaust, 2-step enabled, custom downpipe. It's got an upgraded turbo. It's got a 62 precision turbo. Oh, hello. And I'm trying to think, what else did we do to this thing? I could definitely, I'll pop the hood and I can show you guys inside there too. Wing!
Go over what's going on here.
Yeah, so here's the precision turbo I was telling you guys about. I did have a K&N air filter hooked up to it, but just for, how would you say, experimental purposes, we just threw a turbo guard on there.
Okay.
Just to see the difference. So yeah, this is pretty much the RB25, very similar to the RB26. There's the Ultra Racing strut bar. What is that? 1000cc fuel injectors. We got the turbo manifold, the air intake manifold. Then we have the AEM Series 2 wastegate. Of course, all the pretty intercooler going down to a custom downpipe into the Kakimoto exhaust, which I absolutely love. Like companies that help me get this together, Sound Performance is definitely made a name for themselves. They're definitely reputable, they're reliable. And the fact that this is on an AEM standalone, that's sort of what Sound Performance specializes in.
I'm not cutting that, by the way.
But yeah, so Sound Performance specializes in Supras, but they're all on AEM standalones, at least from my knowledge. I might be wrong, but they were pretty excited when I told them that this is on an AEM standalone, and they're like, yeah, we could probably tune it for you, bring it on in, and we could check it out. So they definitely helped me out. They got the car running smooth for me. They've done a few of my oil changes. They've done a few of my tune-ups. They take care of, with the RBs, they're known for frying out and just sort of going through spark plugs like water. Yeah. And that's the same issue I have with this. So they've been, they've definitely been taking care of me. As far as the body work, we upgraded the bumper to a GTR front bumper kit. New paint job, it's the Rolls Royce blue. That's from Pasquale at Geneva Body Shop. So I would say those two guys mainly helped me pretty much build this. Oh, and TF Works too, Toge Factory. As far as issues and delays, the fact that it's a right-hand drive and there's just not like many of these things out here, importing the parts or finding parts for this type of car is just a delay in itself. I mean, anybody with a build knows how hard it can be to get certain parts. This just brings it like a whole other element to it. And then it's just a lot of trial and error because it's just hard to find parts. That's probably the biggest delay with getting this car together. Like the alternator went out at one point. The starter went out at one point. So I actually imported an R32 about 2 years ago now. And luckily I developed a relationship with those guys that helped me import the Skyline. And now for the R33, any parts that I need, I sort of just link up with them and they sort of cut all the delays and issues sort of in half because this is all they work with, this is all that they import, and they sort of just give me the quick in on any Skyline parts that I need. But besides that, just the normal delays that a body shop or any kind of mechanic shop would have, So, not too bad, not too bad.
That was my fault.
I had to stick with the Paul Walker vibe, That's why we stuck with the blue. I was gonna make it yellow, so it matched like Leon's replica, the R33 in that franchise, but I just couldn't veer away from the blue. When I first got it, it was wrapped in blue, and the original color was a navy blue, so it had to be blue,
Yeah, right on.
So I had to stick with the Paul Walker vibe for sure.
Anything else? What's that? What is that back there?
Oh, that's the Audi R8. It's a 2009 V8. We got it PPF wrapped by Dynamic Detailing, and we got the Anarchy's AN11s put on there by, AN13s put on by Rogue Wheels Distribution. And then obviously we went with the B-Row custom titanium exhaust, which gives it that But surprisingly, that's what the wife drives. She's more into the exotics, and I've just always been into the JDM, And don't get me wrong, who doesn't love exotics? But I love the JDM, I prefer to drive these, she prefers to drive that.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Is there anybody that you want to thank for sticking through the build or?
Of course, yeah, I want to thank my wife, Joanna, of course. Jojo, sorry. Jojo. And obviously my biggest supporter, It's not easy dealing with a big baby all the time. somebody who wants to act like a kid all the time, have their toys all the time. So she's awesome. She's down for everything, any car cruises, any car modifications, car shows, track events. You know, she's on board every single time. So this would not be possible if it wasn't for her. And yeah, thanks, babe.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Too. What else? Am I missing anything, babe?
I don't think so. We did the coilovers, sound performance.
Injectors, some performance,
Yeah.
Yeah,
covered all bases, I
Yeah.
think.
pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's